When most people hear the word budgeting, they imagine sacrificing all the small joys in life, like giving up their daily coffee, and then getting lost in endless spreadsheets. But the reality of effective budgeting is actually far more empowering. It's not about deprivation, but about intention and prioritizing what truly matters to align your spending with your financial goals.
Exactly. The core misunderstanding is that budgeting is about saying no to everything. It's actually about saying yes to what you truly want by being intentional with your money.
So, David, the key takeaway here is that the psychology of budgeting is as important as the numbers. By reframing it from restriction to intentionality, we unlock its real power. What's the immediate, tangible benefit people experience when they shift their mindset from deprivation to intentionality?
Well, the immediate benefit is reduced financial anxiety. When you know your money is working for you, aligned with your goals, that constant worry about unexpected expenses or overspending just starts to fade. You gain a sense of control, which is incredibly liberating.
That makes perfect sense, a shift from restriction to control. So, if budgeting is about intentionality, what are the fundamental building blocks we need to understand to actually implement this? Moving on, a persistent myth is that budgeting means constantly saying no. But the truth is, effective budgeting is about making your spending intentional, allowing you to prioritize what truly matters and enjoy your wants more by planning for them. Key to this is understanding the difference between essential needs and discretionary wants.
Absolutely. And, many budgets fail not because of the daily coffee, but because people forget about those irregular things like car repairs or birthday gifts, or they get swayed by impulse buys thanks to a clever ad. Recognizing those psychological triggers is vital.
Right, so it's about being realistic and aware of both our needs and our habits. Now, with this understanding, what are some concrete strategies that can help us achieve lasting financial freedom? To achieve financial freedom, budgeting is the key. Popular methods like the 50 divided by 30 divided by 20 rule, allocating 50% to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings, or the pay yourself first strategy, provide frameworks for strategic income allocation. Crucially, sustainable budgeting demands discipline, regular tracking, building an emergency fund, and setting clear, flexible goals.
The pay yourself first method is brilliant because it front loads your savings, ensuring that essential goal is met before other spending temptations can even arise. And I have to say that emergency fund is absolutely non-negotiable for building true financial resilience.
David, you mentioned how the 50 divided by 30 divided by 20 rule and pay yourself first are about strategic allocation. How do these structured approaches directly combat those psychological spending triggers we just discussed?
Ah, that's the magic. They create a pre-approved framework for spending and saving. When you have a clear percentage for your wants and a dedicated savings plan, you're much less likely to make those impulsive decisions. You've already decided in advance how much you can allocate to that spontaneous purchase or that dinner out. It removes the emotional decision-making in the moment and replaces it with adherence to your own predefined rational plan.
That's a powerful way to think about it. Pre-approved spending zones that reduce impulse decisions. So it seems budgeting is less about restriction and more about informed, intentional choices for long-term gain. To wrap this up, what are the most critical points our listeners should remember?
I'd say there are a few key things. First, remember that budgeting is about intentionality and prioritization, not deprivation. It's not about cutting out the coffee. Second, you have to distinguish between your essential needs and your discretionary wants to make informed decisions. Also, watch out for common mistakes like forgetting irregular expenses and succumbing to impulse buys. Finally, use effective strategies like the 50 divided by 30 divided by 20 rule or pay yourself first, and always maintain discipline, track your progress, and build that emergency fund. It's a flexible plan for freedom, not a rigid prison.